Welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness TV, episode 372 for October 23rd, 2021. My name is Mac Jackson Jr. I'm your cybersecurity consultant. If this is the first time you've seen my show, I want to let you know that I discuss cybersecurity awareness. I discuss news, tips, and interviews from cybersecurity experts from around the world to help protect you and your family and your business from the fastest growing crime of the 21st century, and that is cybercrimes and identity theft. I would like to thank everybody who's been a part of our show and part of our TV family here now on Roku as well. Thank you very much for being part of us, and we look forward to you following us and finding out information and tips that you could share with your friends and family on cybersecurity awareness. You can find out more about my company on how to educate your business, public and private, by going to my website at macjacksonjr.com. That's macjacksonjr.com. Remember to share, like, and subscribe to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. In today's episode, we're going to talk about cyber crimes and cyber news. What's the government doing and what are businesses doing to protect our infrastructure and our data from these cyber attackers that are consistently looking for ways to find out vulnerabilities? There is an FBI discussion I have on the common types of scams that criminals use to try to acquire your data and victimize you. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about also other things that the FBI is doing in order to protect us from these cyber attacks. In our Cybersecurity Awareness month, which is this month of October, we will have a report from the United States Department of Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. He will discuss cyber threats and tips that you can do to protect yourself and your business from cyber attacks. And of course, in our weekly cyber attacks tips that we have every week, we have another report from the FBI talking about cyber scams and social engineering, things you can do to protect yourselves. And of course, I will conclude it with tips and techniques to protect your business as well. In our news on cyber attacks, what's the government doing? Folks, as we've been saying for months on this show and now for years, ransomware is on the rise and criminals are always looking for ways to get your information and exploit your business and extort money from your company, either through Bitcoin or even through data and cash itself. But what can you do to protect yourself? And what's our government doing? Well, our government's working behind the scenes with CEOs of businesses in protecting our data. Scammers are always looking for ways to find ways to get your data, and there's things that you can do. In this next video I have for you by the FBI, we will look at some of the things that government agencies are doing in ways to protect our data from these types of data attacks. Here's a clip from the FBI.
The most common cyber scams that we are seeing in Oregon, ranked by the number of complaints into the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, are online shopping, phishing, extortion, hacking, romance scams, and business email compromise scams. By dollar losses, business email compromise scams top the list. Here are three of the most important things to keep yourself safe from cyber scams. Never click on links or attachments in emails, text messages, or social media posts. They can contain malware that will infect your device or lead you to a fraudulent but real-looking website to collect user ID and password info. Don't share personal or sensitive information with people you meet online. You can never take back compromising pictures, and no one should contact you unsolicited to ask for your financial or health information. Trust your gut. As the old saying goes, if a deal sounds too good to be true, it probably is. There are a number of easy steps you can take to greatly increase your safety online. Lock down all of your social media accounts with security and privacy in mind. Restrict your friend list to include only those who you know and trust in real life. Set your devices, software, and apps to update automatically. Make sure every online account, whether it is your favorite shopping portal or your utility provider, has robust security. That means using strong passwords or passphrases and/or multi-factor authentication. A scammer uses social engineering to generate an intense emotion in you to get you to act quickly without thinking. That emotion could be fear, anger, excitement, or even curiosity. Examples include scams where you are told you are in trouble with the law, have won a huge lottery, or need to immediately help a family member in danger. The fraudster will use your heightened emotion to get you to give them money or personal information. If you're the victim of a cyber scam, the first thing you should do is to contact your bank, credit card company, or other financial institution. Let them know you suspect fraud and ask them to lock down your accounts. In some cases, you may need a police report to file a fraud complaint. Contact your local law enforcement to do that. Check your credit report regularly for ongoing concerns. Everyone is entitled to at least one report per year from each of the 3 major credit reporting agencies. During these COVID times, they are offering Americans even more frequent options. Go to www.annualcreditreport.com to find out more. Finally, report fraud to the FBI through our Internet Crime Complaint Center at www.ic3.gov.
That's a very good report from the FBI. I really do appreciate that information that the FBI has provided us, folks. As you can see, hackers are always looking for ways to get your information, and we can protect ourselves by just doing little simple things like training our employees on how to protect themselves from these types of cyber attacks. But folks, you could do a little more. You could also have your employees themselves understand the cyber attacks that can affect them at their homes as well, because criminals will try to even attack your employees from home in hopes of having malware on some of their smart devices when they take it into work. This is sort of thing, folks, a part of social engineering, which we'll talk about in this month's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And we have another clip here I'd like to share with you from CNN Business on cybersecurity thefts. Here, check out this clip.
This threat is not imminent. It is upon us.
Cyber attacks against TV stations, food and fuel suppliers, hospitals, water systems.
These hacks have been happening for a long time. Ransomware
attacks. After a ransomware attack.
Ransomware cyber attack.
How concerned should we be?
Ransomware. It feels like it's everywhere these days. It's caused gas shortages, it's disrupted our meat supply. But what exactly is ransomware? And what should you do if you're the victim of an attack?
Ransomware is malicious software that encrypts data and then, of course, holds it ransom, right, until somebody pays up. But before you can even get to that point, the ransomware gangs need to get access into systems.
There are multiple ways a hacker can break into a computer system. One of the most common ways is through a phishing email.
And it can attempt to sort of fool or deceive the recipient of the email into thinking it's a real person on the other end, usually getting them to click a link or to download an attachment of some kind, which then might execute some malicious software.
After the hackers gain access to a computer system, they then begin to encrypt the data on it. Encryption is similar to locking the data up, so no one else can get access to it without the key.
And there's sort of a second step to this, and it's an extortion step, where if the victim refuses to pay the ransom for any reason, they'll also threaten to dump some of that data online. It sort of ups the ante, so to speak.
In short, the hackers are demanding a person or a company pay them in exchange for the key to unlock their data, and often to stop the hackers from leaking any sensitive information. A study of ransomware attacks in the first quarter of 2021 showed that professional services like law firms, and the public sector like schools and governments and the healthcare industry. All were targeted by ransomware attacks the most.
I would say that the trend has generally moved towards hitting larger organizations that have deeper pockets, for example, or the types of organizations that typically have very sensitive data.
This is a Russian criminal group. It's originating in Russia. It's called DarkSide.
Catching criminal hackers is tough. For one, they usually demand payment in cryptocurrencies, which are harder to track. One study estimated that roughly $350 million was paid out in ransomware attacks in 2020. And these hacks often originate from countries like Russia, where the US doesn't have an extradition treaty. Experts recommend strengthening your IT infrastructure by keeping systems up to date, by patching security vulnerabilities, monitoring for phishing emails, and having a plan for when a ransomware attack does occur. Companies can also buy insurance specifically for cyber attacks.
It would help to have a mentality that at just some point you're going to get hit by one of these things, and you need to know what your next move is and what you're going to do, and to think about especially how you would recover from an incident of this kind.
Hackers can often demand high price tags to get your data back. Colonial Pipeline says it paid $4.4 million to hackers who held their systems at ransom. JBS is one of the world's largest food companies, and it says it paid out $11 million in response to a ransomware attack. The US government encourages people not to pay the ransom, since that could encourage more attacks. There's also no guarantee that attackers won't just release the data once the ransom is paid.
The big question is, so what do we do next? Law enforcement can only do so much, and it might actually come down to negotiating with foreign countries like Russia. It's also possible that the United States military might step in here at some point and play a greater role in defense of the private sector, and so it's another possibility going forward.
As you can see, folks, there's a lot going on in business, in law enforcement, and government regarding cybersecurity awareness. And this month, we say hashtag stay cyber awake and stay cyber woke of what's going on in cybersecurity in ways to protect your business. But folks, you can do a little more. If you'd like to join our Patreon group, you could do that by being a part of our research and getting this information as messages out to everyone that we know. You can do that by joining patreon.com/MacJacksonJr. Become a member. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. Folks, we'll be back after these messages.
Identity theft happens. It's an unfortunate fact of modern life. But there are certain steps you can take to help keep your personal information from falling into the wrong hands. Every day you do things to protect what's most important to you. And you know what? You do them almost automatically. Routine things like looking both ways before you cross, brushing your teeth, and buckling your seatbelt. Another routine to get into is keeping tabs on your identity and personal information. Here are 5 easy ways you can do it. Read your credit card and bank statements carefully and often. Know your payment due dates. If a bill doesn't show up when you expect it, look into it. Read the statements from your health insurance plan. Make sure the claims paid match the care you got. Shred any documents with personal and financial information. Review each of your 3 credit reports at least once a year. It's easy and it's free. And before you know it, protecting your personal information can be as routine as locking your doors at night. For more tips and tools on dealing with identity theft, visit ftc.gov/ID theft. That's ftc.gov/ID theft.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I'm your host, Mac Jackson Jr. In this month, Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we have a report by the United States Department of Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. We'll discuss cybersecurity. He will provide tips, and we're very glad to have this information from the Secretary regarding cybersecurity and things he could share with you on this dangerous operation that's going on with cyber criminals. Here's a clip from the Secretary of Defense.
Hello, I'm Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense. As you may know, October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So I'd like you to ask yourself 2 important questions. First, what am I doing to protect myself in cyberspace? And second, how am I securing our mission against threats online? Right now, our adversaries are looking for ways to get into our systems, trying to find advantages over our country and our warfighters. And they're not just interested in our networks. They're interested in your social media, your online accounts, your personal smartphone, your tablet, your smart speaker, and more. Anything that can give them a leg up. So cybersecurity is on all of us, from uniformed personnel to civilian employees, and from our families to our veterans. We all play a vital role in protecting America by staying cyber aware. Now, here's some easy but important steps that you should take right now. First, turn on multi-factor authentication for your email, your bank accounts, and your other sensitive logins. Second, think twice before you post online, and talk to your family about publicly sharing sensitive information like your location or your personal details. Third, check the privacy settings on your social media accounts to make sure that you're in control of what you're sharing with the world. And finally, install the most recent software updates on your personal electronic devices, including your smartphone. We all need to stay up to date, so don't wait. Cyber warfare isn't some threat for the future. It's a battle that we're waging this very moment. And with your help, we can fight and win in cyberspace.
I'd like to thank the United States Defense Secretary Austin for providing cybersecurity tips. This information is definitely vital and important for all of us, for our businesses and individuals, in protecting our data assets from these types of cyber crimes. And folks, you can protect your business as well by becoming a member of our Patreon channel at patreon.com/Mac Jackson Jr. But also, folks, you can also have, if you're a business and you would like to have your company assessed on what types of cybersecurity posture that your company have, you can contact my company, and that is Vanderson Cyber Group. That's Vanderson Cyber Group. We can do asset analysis for your businesses and help you develop your own cybersecurity plans. This way you'll be able to have a step-by-step process to protect your business from these types of cyber threats. For more information, just give me a call at 702-868-0808. Folks, we'll be back after these messages.
What to do if you are a victim of identity theft? If your identity's been stolen, the FTC is the right place to learn how to set things straight. Here are 3 steps to take. First, call one of the nationwide credit reporting companies. Ask them to put a fraud alert on your credit report. This means businesses must confirm that you are you before they extend credit in your name. The alert is a roadblock in the path of an identity thief, and it's just one phone call away. Second, order free copies of your credit report from each of the nationwide credit reporting companies. Third, complete the complaint form at ftc.gov/complaint. This creates an identity theft affidavit, which helps you file a police report. Keep records of your calls and copies of your documents. You'll use them later on. For more tips and tools on dealing with identity theft, visit ftc.gov/ID theft. That's ftc.gov/ID theft.
Hi folks, welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I'm your host, Mac Jackson Jr. In this segment, we talk about cybersecurity tips for privacy, protecting your business. Folks, scammers will always try to find out little ways that they could get you to hand over information to them unwillingly. Sometimes you're thinking that the person on the other end of the phone actually is a legitimate person trying to do business with you. And unfortunately, it could be a cyber attacker or a scammer or a fraudster trying to get information about your company. There are some things that you can do. The first one, folks, is not to panic, and it's to be aware. Just to be aware that there are strangers out there that are trying to get information. Now, again, we shouldn't be paranoid thinking everybody is trying to call you or send you an email is a thief, but it's good to be aware of understanding what these thieves sound like and what processes they try to use to get your information. Now, the FBI has come up with a really nice video they'd like to share with you on these types of cyber attacks and cyber scams that hackers and fraudsters use to try to acquire data. They're using techniques like we talked about on a show called social engineering, right? Social engineering, using either your phone as a way to get it, using text messages, or they'll call your office, or they're using phishing attacks through emails. All these are different types of attacks that hackers and fraudsters will try to use to get your information. But for more information on that, check out this video from the FBI.
In this video, the FBI provides information about social engineering. Hello, I'm Jay, a special agent with the FBI. Welcome to social engineering, or more bluntly, targeted lies designed to get you to let your guard down. Social engineering is the most common technique deployed by criminals, adversaries, competitors, and spies to exploit humans and computer networks. That's because it's all too simple. You don't need any technical skills to be successful. Social engineering is the use of deception through manipulation of human behavior to target and manipulate you into divulging confidential or personal information and using it for fraudulent purposes. In the context of information security, social engineering might also mean psychologically manipulating people to take action to inadvertently give adversaries access to protected information or assets. Social engineering can also be used to embarrass and humiliate campaigns, voter groups, and others. Phishing, phishing campaigns, and spear phishing are just a few examples of social engineering. Phishing is the fraudulent practice of sending an email, which appears to come from a reputable source, to lure someone to reveal personal information or click on a link. Just like when you go fishing, you throw a hook into a body of water to bait a fish to bite on the hook. In this case, that's done via malicious emails. Phishing campaigns generally target a group of individuals or companies by sending multiple fraudulent but enticing emails in the hope that at least one person falls for the bait. These emails are often designed to look official, as if coming from your campaign itself, a trusted vendor, donor, or other known senders. Spear phishing, on the other hand, is a very targeted and customized email to lure the targeted victim to take action. Typically, the adversary has done some research on the victim to understand what would make this specific person fall for the scam. Criminal and foreign-sponsored governments, cyber adversaries use spear phishing emails to get access to protected networks. Sometimes simply dropping the name of someone the target knows is enough to lower their guard. So let's talk about how and why cyber adversaries prefer social engineering tactics. It's easy, low cost, and widely successful. It's easy because there are off-the-shelf apps or social engineering exploitation kits available online. These kits aggregate open source information from various social media sites to help the attacker craft a highly convincing spearfish email. Cyber adversaries can also mirror a legitimate website by using off-the-shelf tools so that they can direct you to a fake website that looks authentic to capture your login credentials. And sometimes the phishing needs no technology at all beyond a well-written email with just enough social finesse to get you to reveal sensitive information. If you download a malicious email attachment, or click on a malicious link, or log into a fake mirrored website, you might be letting an attacker sneak past even the most robust cybersecurity defenses. Depending on the structure of your computer network, a successful phishing attack could compromise your entire network. So how can you minimize your risk of becoming a victim? Two simple techniques will help you guard against these attacks. First, before you open an email attachment or click on a link, even from people you know, look at the email header to see exactly what the sender's email address is. Adversaries often change one letter, symbol, or number in an email address so that it closely resembles a legitimate email address. If you don't see that tiny change, you may be replying to a cyber adversary instead of a trusted friend. The same thing is true for embedded links. Hover your mouse over the link and make sure it doesn't have any masquerading characters. Second, be careful when handling emails that contain attachments. If you don't know the sender, call the person before you open it. If you do know the sender, but weren't expecting an attachment, call the person before you open the attachment. When possible, avoid using the phone number listed in the email. Also, avoid opening emails on mission-critical systems where sensitive data resides. An infection on such a system may result in significant loss of information. These techniques sound pretty simple, but in the context of political campaigns, it can be challenging to abide by them, particularly because you're constantly communicating with constituents, most of whom you don't know personally. So how can you balance your critical need to communicate with your constituents against your need to safeguard your computer networks? Training and creating awareness is one of the most important steps your campaign can take. It's extremely important for your campaign to educate staff and volunteers about social engineering as an attack vector. That puts your staff in a better position to detect these attempts and avoid becoming victims. You can get as creative as you want to deliver these training sessions. We've seen some organizations send out controlled phishing emails to their employees to determine if extra training is required for those who have trouble identifying phishing emails. You may also want to provide reference sheets or training videos about social engineering. Encourage campaign staff and volunteers to think about all the information they're publicly sharing on social media and review and restrict privacy settings on social media accounts regularly. Information that seems innocuous, such as office locations, meeting date and times, names of people written on a whiteboard in the background of a selfie shared online, can give adversaries information they can use to target you. Adversaries may also target your personal email accounts and might even try to connect with you on social media. As a general rule, don't accept friend requests from people you don't know. At the end of the day, you, the human user, are the first line of defense against social engineering attacks. Your campaign should consider educating all staff and volunteers about how social engineering works and the harm it can cause. The more training, the better. Make it a regular part of your campaign week. Ask your colleagues to watch this video or pass the information to them yourselves. The social engineering tips won't keep your campaign's information system safe from every kind of cyber threat, but they will help you significantly minimize your risk. Remember, your voice matters, so protect it.
I'd like to thank again the FBI for that clip and that important information on cybersecurity, social engineering attacks. But further, folks, I'd like to share with you that the holiday season is coming around the corner here in December, and the hackers will definitely look for vulnerable individuals and businesses in order to scam, to get information from. You will find some of these scams using even the text messages of your phone. If you find that you receive a text message from someone you do not know asking for information or want you to click on a link that you suspect can be fraudulent, the FBI recommends that you forward that text information, that text message, to their site. Also, the Federal Trade Commission as well are quite interested. And you can forward the text to 7726. That's forwarded to 7726. And these different types of email messages will be monitored by the FBI and investigated, and they will follow through with them. And yes, the FBI and the Federal Trade Commission are prosecuting, going after these fraudsters for sitting out and passing us information that's not legitimate to us. But folks, as we do every week, we want to talk about things you can do to protect yourselves. And we'll start from the basics like we always do, and that's your passwords, folks. Our passwords are our main way of accessing information and data to get into the systems. We need to make sure that you have a password management system so you can save and store your passwords and have a way that they're encrypted, which means scrambled, which means blocking where hackers cannot see what your user ID or password is when you go to a website that you're visiting. Best way to do that is with a password management system. Now, there is a password management system that I've talked a lot about in the show, and if you'd like to find out more information about that, go to my website at macjacksonjr.com, macjacksonjr.com. And click on some of the products and services that we offer, and one of them there's from a company called LastPass, where you'd find out information on password management systems to protect your business. But also, folks, there's a second step, and that is multi-factor authentication. Again, what that simply means is once you log into a website like Google or Amazon or a lot of these different companies, the next thing you will see is there will be a code sent to one of your devices, either through an email or your smart device. And you will acknowledge by repeating this code that's sent to your email or your smart device on your laptop or desktop screen, authenticating that you are the rightful owner of this website. And this information then is called, that's what multi-factor authentication is, giving you access to your particular site. So I would recommend definitely setting up two-factor authentications, and even with your financial institution, folks. That's right, with your banks, your financial company. If they have two-factor authentications, definitely sign up for that, giving your data extra layer of protection for your business. As we do every week, folks, we want to thank you for being part of our show, Cybersecurity Awareness TV, here on the WWDBTV and now on the Roku network. Absolutely. We are very excited about that. You will find all our episodes in every season of our show. And definitely tell a friend about what you saw on the show. You can find me, folks, on all social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and again, my website at macjacksonjr.com, and also my company, Vanderson Cyber Group, to help you put together policies and procedures and train your employees all over the world. We can do this now on cybersecurity awareness and have a documented process and procedures to protect your business from the fastest growing crimes of the 21st century. Folks, as I say every week, hashtag stay cyber woke. We'll see you next week, folks. Thank you.
You